some scenes at the end there at the SoFi Stadium. Guys, it was some night, wasn't it? Michael, let's start with you. What did you make of it all?
Look, the best team in the competition won. There was a vibe about this Mexico team that reminds me of a certain song. And I know this desk, and Sam, I'm going to throw you in there. I'm going to give you a little bit of morning footy love. Remember a song that goes something like, started from the bottom, now we're here. Are you going to make me sing that already? That was the vibe that I felt like I was watching with this L3 side, because it felt like they started from the bottom coming into it. And they were a side that I wasn't giving them any flowers. I didn't even have them potentially in that final. I thought Canada was going to be in the final. I wrote them off. And Vasco Aguirre and Raúl Jiménez said, not today. And look, this is a side that's making us rethink what could be in CONCACAF, but they had a bit of bite about them, which is something that cannot be said about the U.S. men's national team. We'll hammer them in a bit. But this L3 side, they're a force to be reckoned with, and we have to ask the question, are they back? Are they fully back?
I think they are fully back. Quite frankly, I did have them appearing in the final, albeit under different circumstances. This Mexico side in more recent seasons have not been great. They've been actually their most poor, and we've criticized them heavily. I think that we're seeing this reinvigoration. It's looking bright for Mexico again. I think this is something for L3 fans to actually bite into finally.
You have to give credit to the 4-4-2. They never practiced it. They went out to this tournament. They took chances. They were brave. They gave an opportunity for their two best players, and Raúl Jiménez and Santi Gimenez, who also deserves a ton of credit because his work rate that he did in those two matches, very unheralded and very well deserved in terms of the amount of attention he was getting, taking on 3 defenders at one time on aerial balls in transition. He was fantastic. But those two guys working together for the first time in these two spots in the 4-4-2, I think was a difference maker for Mexico. And it gives them an opportunity now of an identity moving forward that I think is going to be incredibly dangerous.
Just on that is a great point that you make about the 4-4-2. Christine, so often we say, don't we, that 4-4-2 is a dying formation. And then we come in here, we see Mexico play a formation like that. You mentioned it, Santi, Raúl playing up front. Raúl spoke about it after the game last night, saying that he can play up front. He enjoys playing that 4-4-2 role. That's huge, and that could be really interesting for the World Cup because other managers may look at that and take note.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes we overcomplicate things, right? Like, throw it back to simple football. Do what works. Get your team together. If they happen to be looking better or you think that they have skills that will work best in that 4-4-2, then throw everything at them, and they have. I think that they have a lot of talent. I think that they definitely were the better team out of Mexico and Panama. I think they'll be a real threat in the World Cup, and I think they have the time to make themselves sound both defensively and in attack.
I remember when I had a manager, Jim Curtin, I asked him, what do you like about, especially as a former defender, which he was, what do you like and what do you fear most about attacking options, attacking pairing? And he said, as a center back, especially as a modern day center back, the thing that I hate most is when I have to face 2 strikers. You look at modern center backs now, they hate defending 1v1. And when you look at Panama playing with the back 3, these Panamanian defenders, if there was only one striker, if there was Raúl Jiménez, I guarantee you he would not have had the service and the effect that he had on this match. The difference with having Santi with him, and Vasco Aguirre deserves all the credit. The media is saying, pitting, is it going to be Santi? Is it going to be Raúl? And he said, why can't they coexist? You saw the difference between 2 players where Santi, which he did for Feyenoord against Bayern Munich, and for Milan, he stretches, he goes vertical, he runs 100%. In the channels. And that creates that gap of space underneath for Raúl to operate, winding back the clock like he used to do for L3, and doing what he does for the likes of Fulham, where he has that freedom to come underneath. There were the Oles going on in the first 10 minutes. Man, those are the vibes that we're all used to, but it came down to that space underneath.
The vibes are back, with L3 especially. You thought this fan base and the collective Mexicans, you knew they were going to show up, but were they going to be connected? Were they going to buy into this team? And you could tell they're all in. They look and fly in them new fits they got, the new kits, and they're all praising in terms of what they just saw. And you see the momentum. You see them connected in terms of the fan base and the team as well right now. Like, they're the hottest team and the best team set up for next year's World Cup right now in CONCACAF.
They are the team to watch. Plenty of chat about Raúl Jiménez. He was the Auto Trader player spotlight.
Being by far, well, I guess Jonathan David probably has a shout as well, but him being the best striker in CONCACAF, I think he displayed in those 2 matches. So I'm sure, Lahoud, you'll fight back a little bit on that. He's been fantastic.
We're going to be cooking on Canada soon. I brought my Canadian maple syrup with me on it and bacon, and I can't wait. No, but we got to give this guy his flowers, and I love everything that this desk is saying. The thing that I see is when you look at the history of El Tri has an amazing goalkeeper, Jorge Campos, Memo Ochoa, and now Malagon's still a bit shaky, but they have had a history and rich history of solid goalkeepers. You look at the midfield defenders, Rafael Marquez, now Edson Alvarez in there holding it down as the captain. But the one thing that they've always had that USMNT fans and CONCACAF fans, it scares the living daylights of them, they have had a certified assassin up top in terms of the number 9 position. And I go back to the likes of Hugo Sanchez, who you're a Madrid fan, Master. You'll remember him
100%.
through and through. But he was the one that really started things. And then you go all the way to the modern day of Chicharito having that gauntlet. But this is a striker that reminds me of the finishing prowess of Javier Chicharito Hernandez. Can score the ugly goals, can score beautiful goals, golazos, but he has that killer instincts of the likes of Guillermo Franco, of that generation before, the likes of a Jared Borghetti. He has that nastiness about them that I think El Tri has missed in the last 4 or 5 years. And now that he has established that, and it's the epitome of what Vasco Aguirre wants to build, it's not from back to front. I think this is a side that's built from front to back, and they have a bit between their teeth that I love.
Well, I'll tell you what, who else has got the bit between their teeth? Panama. What can we say about Panama? Because, guys, you watch a lot of football, and you watch a lot of football in terms of CONCACAF as well. How good is this team? Were you surprised, Cupo, with what you saw from them? Because there are some people that weren't. They say, no, they expected this coming. But then there's probably about 50% of other people that thought, nah, this was not happening. What do you think?
I mean, even if we go with recency bias, you're going to say that Panama have some quality. Yes, they do need to fix some of their weaknesses, but coming out of Copa America, knowing that they already thrashed the U.S. men's national team, and that's a statement maker in a lot of ways. We'll get further into that. But coming into this competition and managing to go head on to strategically adhere to a plan that Christensen put into place, that 5-4-1 was really, really hard for the U.S. to contend with and break down.
Mexico did a great job of conceding possession. I think they had 53% possession. It almost costed them early on, where Panama had a good chance going into it in the first 10 minutes, and then Mexico was able to find the goal. But the way they responded afterwards and still staying in the game, not panicking, I think Panama did a great job of that. Moving forward, though, I think you'll need to find them to be another option, because it seemed like Mexico was well prepared for the 5-4-1 based off what they saw against the United States, and they didn't really have any other elements to add to that. But what Mexico did really well, when they conceded possession, they stretched Panama out. They had to run a lot more, and you saw that going into the second half, how Mexico dominated. A huge reason why was because Panama, they were out of legs.
That was a lot. Actually, that was a lot of it, is that Mexico were a lot more effective and capable of stretching them where the U.S. weren't. And that was all their dangerous.
The passing lanes were all there as a result of it. When Santi stretches them out, you can catch them against the run of play. Like that was something that we saw from the Mexico that we did not see from the United States. And that's the reason why they're Nation League champs.